What is going on, guys? It is Austin, and I thought I would record a recap of the last couple days of trading, not just today, but yesterday as well. And I do want to remind you guys to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. I do these recaps occasionally. I used to do them every day, but I'm not so consistent now. I'm a full-time student and I have other things going on, so but I thought we would look at today's trades and yesterday's trades. And before I get into that, I do want to show you guys full disclosure that just, full transparency here, because I think it's important. I don't want to just show my winners, but, April's not been, we've not been off to a good start. In March I had a 16 trading day win streak. I think this is 16 days, 5, 10, 4, 16 straight days, and then on April 1st blew up, $2,000 loss. And I just hate that my losing days are always bigger than my winning days. And then 2 days later I did it again, and I can really accurately pinpoint what's going wrong on those days. It's not hard for me to, once these days end, I just know exactly what I've done, what I did wrong. It's like I trade terribly for this stuff to happen, and overtrade and revenge trade, and I just fall right back into bad habits. And otherwise, those days would be a lot smaller. They start small and then they get worse. So on Tuesday, I went live and I had a really nasty trade on Nvidia right off the bat, and then I was kind of scraping back to kind of a modest red day, not so bad. And then I ended the live, and honestly, I think that screwed me, because once I ended the live, I felt like the spotlight wasn't on me anymore, and I could just kind of be reckless, and that was stupid. And that was so stupid. And so anyway, I did quite a lot of reflecting on Tuesday about, I beat myself up about how, sucky of a trader I am or whatever. But I want to talk about yesterday's trades, where I made 1,200 yesterday, and then I'm up 900 today. So I'm still, just scraping back to break even here on the month. Not quite there, but hopefully within the next couple days, if everything goes okay and I don't have one of these terrible bad habit days again, hopefully I can scrape back. But let's talk about the trades from yesterday first. I traded Nvidia and AMD yesterday. I'm going to try a time frame that I think will look good here. This is a bit tricky because I want to show kind of what the market was doing yesterday. So I think this was yesterday of the market. So this is the ES and this is the NQ. And this was right here. You see this where this volume comes in. That is the opening bell on Wednesday. So right on the opening bell, a good setup for a continuation lower. We pop up, but this is actually, this kind of candle is you can very easily predict a turnaround back to the downside, because there's not really a setup here for such a green candle. It doesn't really seem to make sense here, but we did sell off, and that's exactly what I was predicting. I had a very strong short bias going into the open on Wednesday, and so my plan really on Wednesday, looking at the market and its setup, I was looking at the daily chart. I always do multiple time frames, so I'm not going to look at all that right now. I suppose I could go to the daily, like on the ES, and really on Wednesday just looking for continuation. This was Wednesday's candle, which was a big red candle on the ES. Just looking for continuation there, pretty simple. And so yeah, for various reasons I had a short bias on Wednesday. This was Wednesday here. Nvidia already kind of selling off, and it was gapping down massively on Wednesday. We had this big overnight move, so stocks came down. And on Wednesday, I was really just looking for continuation. I don't know why my trades aren't showing up here. Here we go. So little bit of a rocky start here. I'll flip to the 1 minute and you'll see my precise kind of entries and where I got in. But Nvidia had been relatively weak, a big gap down, and I was kind of looking for price to kind of come into these into this 50 moving average, into this 200 moving average, and looking for kind of the gap and go. But of course, once you have kind of this big gap, it is very likely that if you think about what the daily candle is going to look like by the end of the day, you can imagine there being a wick to the upside, which means that price probably will test higher above the opening price at some point during the day, and probably early on. If it's going to be a red candle, then price needs to come back down by the close of the candle. So you can guess that it's going to come up early and then finish lower. But right off the open, my mind wasn't really thinking about that. So it makes sense that we'd get this pop off the open. You can see I was patient. I didn't short it on the first minute. I waited, and then as this candle came back down, that's where I jumped in because I didn't want to miss the move down either. So you can see I was short at 249.36. So kind of down here toward the low of this candle. This is a 1 minute chart, so each candle is 1 minute. And so I was short on the third minute of the open, kind of toward the low. This candle gets bought back up, and then we surge back up. So getting a little nervous, I shorted 200 shares, and on a stock like this, you can see each one of these prices, these are $2 increments here, so even halfway between is a dollar move. So you can tell that this stock moves quite a bit. So anyway, shorted 200 shares. All that is to say is that's pretty big size for me, but I was very confident in this trade, and I was confident in the move lower, watching the market off the open. This was where the market was ripping off the open, and then it came back up here. I did stop out because I wanted to stop out above this high, which it looked like it was going to break through this high, so I just went ahead and I pulled out. That was a $500 loss just to start my day right there. I took a $2.50 hit, I believe. Yeah, so right there, about a $2.50 hit straight away. So I was down $500. Then the very next candle popped up. I was watching the market carefully, and then as it actually, this candle popped up, and then it was flashing red, and it was giving this bearish tail. I flip over to the 5 minute, and this is exactly what I was looking for. I had this in my mind to play out like this big reversal. I'm looking at this setup, and it just doesn't really look like it doesn't look bullish. This whole pre-market setup doesn't look bullish. So I was just waiting for the reversal. That's what I was gearing for. And again, looking at the market, the whole market setup, the pre-market setup of stocks, you look at like the price of stocks in aftermarket the day before and pre-market as well. Does the setup look bullish? Does it look bearish? Everything was pointing to bearish to me. And again, all of this action here is just forming this wick, which totally makes sense. So jumped back in, and I jumped back in with bigger size. I was like, this is a good entry because we're above VWAP, so like I'm anticipating this entire move, so I really want to hammer this. So I jump back in, 300 shares, 250, 205, and then we come down, and the rest of this trade is just taking profit, entirely just taking profit. I did get out everything here. This was kind of bad. So I was holding like I was still holding like over a third of the position here with 125 still in the trade at this point where, I'm like an hour plus into the trade. So I know I've got a winner here, but it was coming back up, and I didn't want to test a VWAP because I thought actually if we test VWAP, we're going to get a higher pivot high, and I just think it's too risky. And once I get up there, once price gets up there, if it does, I don't trust myself to get out of the trade and stop out because I'll be, thinking of my P&L. And anyway, so I don't know. I got out, which was a mistake as it came back down. And you can see I left quite a bit on the table. It came back down here to 240 from 246. So that's $600 from here to there, over 600 with 125 short. So oh well. And then I did have AMD short on this day too. So I shorted Nvidia and AMD, which tend to kind of move. I think of them as similar stocks, honestly, but I guess they're not. But this one I shorted off the open as well, 200 shares. So I shorted not as much as Nvidia. Nvidia was really the one that I wanted. This one didn't have as much weakness. And if you look at the daily chart down here, you can see where price has bounced off this line so many times. So I knew I was kind of shorting it into this line. But because of how bearish my sentiment was, I also thought actually if we break this support, there could be a huge flush below the $100 level. So I had that in the back of my mind as well, and I was kind of thinking that could take place, and maybe I want some shares in it on that. But you can see some of my trading here is a bit questionable. I added to the short here, and then there was a lot of choppy action, and then take profit as it started coming up. I got out a little bit more. Then we had the FOMC minutes, which messed with price as well. It surged up, and then I got out more thinking, oh, here we go, like we might come back, we might make new lows on the day, and then it just the market totally changes my. So when you trade, FOMC, this is what you're going to deal with, crazy moves. But at that point, I only had 50 shares left in the trade, so it wasn't really a big deal. All right, so let's talk about today. So that was like a $1,300 day. I made like 900 on Nvidia, despite losing 500 on it right off the bat. I shorted it again and ended green on that one. Twitter was my first trade today. You can see my P&L breakdown of today. I made $16 on my first trade, Twitter. This one is kind of I think the best looking setup of anything that I'm going to show you in this video. So if you look at this setup, news comes out, Musk takes a stake, so huge surge here. But look at this setup ever since, building this pennant formation. And I saw this pre-market and I was like, this is it. Like, whenever I see something like this, like, I know this is going to be the best opportunity probably that I'm going to have. And this is the best, cleanest setup that I'm going to see this morning. And I saw this pre-market. Anyone can pull this up and draw these lines pre-market. I did, and it was easy. I drew these lines and I was like, wow, this is this is the prettiest pennant shape I've seen in a long time. And so I know this is either going to break to the upside or downside. This tends to be a bullish pattern, and so I went long on it off the open. I liked the long. I actually so yeah, I wanted to go long on it, but there were question marks in that I was bearish on the market. So I was like, uh-oh, red flag. I'm bearish on the market, but this is a bullish setup. Those kind of butt heads. So there were some kind of warning signs that this trade might not have gone in my favor in the end, and it didn't, and you can see that here. So, and especially if you look down here at the 30-minute chart, this just is really a pretty resolution of this setup. Even though it didn't break to the upside, just look at these candles, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 red candles in a row. It's like, just that's the kind of opportunity you get with these setups. So if you are able to come to the market and identify these setups on these larger time frames and see these pre-market, and the fact that the apex of or I don't know the right word, but the crescendo, the point of execution for this setup, it's manifesting now. In other words, where the lines intersect is where price will break out. So that's where we're at here. And so I knew that there was going to be a big break to either side, and I liked it long because I thought this is a bullish setup. But I was actually in this stock long, and I was in BABA short at the same time. I went long this stock first, and I'll go to the 1 minute. So you see this whole pattern. Flip over to the 1 minute, and you'll see exactly where I got in. I got in on the first candle off the open. I saw it dip down and then come back up. I bought in. I bought that dip because I thought, okay, we're finding support at this bottom end of the pattern, right? You see this purple line. If I zoom back out, you'll see this is the point of the pennant. So I thought, we're finding support here. The target is the upper end of the pennant, which is this purple line, and then I'm like certain we're gonna break through because we've got all this volume on the open. We're at that crescendo point in the pattern. So I was like, here we go. So I got long 300 shares. Usually I would take bigger size on this because of how great this pattern is, but because of those warning signs that like, uh-oh, I'm short another stock, I actually like the market to come down today. So all my pre-market work, I thought the market's going to come down, but we've got this bullish setup. So I took smaller size than I usually would. Then once we got the confirmation of the break above this level, of breaking out of the pattern to the upside, okay, here we go. I'm adding to the position. I'm 500 shares. That was kind of going to be my full position. Wasn't going to add any more to it, again, because of those warning signs. On a day where the market looked really bullish, I might have maxed out my buying power on this, just because you don't get setups like this very often. This was like clear as day. I wanted to be long this stock for sure. So I might have taken like 700 or however many shares it would have let me, probably. Not more than 1,000. That's extremely aggressive. I definitely wouldn't have taken more than that. But 700 probably would have been the most I would have taken on this. But 500 is good size as well. So as long 500, I added here. it came up a little bit more, but then I could tell in the price action it was trying to go. But this is that point about 10 minutes into the open where the market. This is today now we're looking at. So the open today was sorry over here. So real choppy action, but you can see we spiked up here, and then here we got that reversal 10 minutes into the market open. We were actually coming back to the downside right here. So that's when this all started to fall apart. And I'm going to get rid of the trades here just so you can see this candle more clearly. It was bouncing off VWAP, and not only was this VWAP, but I stuck in this trade. You can see I got out on this candle. I mean, this is the obvious candle to stop out on, so I did. It tested higher, reversal, breaking through all these levels, just breaking down. Now the target becomes the bottom end of the range, and now we're probably going to break through that. And yeah, so anytime you break out of a range and then you come back into the zone, the target becomes the other end of it, and more than likely you're gonna break that side, and it's just gonna be this big nasty false break, and so you want to get out for sure. So I got out, but I liked it at first because this was VWAP support, 200 moving average support, and the prior resistance becomes new support. This was the upper end of the pennant shape, and we were finding support there, and it really looked like it was kind of just curling off this support, and it looked like it was going to keep going. But I think the market momentum Twitter just gave in, and you could see the sellers just flood in here, and it just totally. And so did this pattern give a great opportunity? Yeah, to the short side. Look at this thing go, man. And I knew once it broke down, I was like, well, the right thing to do is probably flip short on this, but I already had my short in BABA, which I'll show you in a minute. So I was like, well, I'm kind of already priced into the short, so I'm just going to stop out of this long. And so if I think about my positions on net, at first I was like, long, good amount of size, short, long, good amount of size in Twitter, short, good amount of size in BABA. So I'm bias neutral right now, even though I thought the market was going to come down. So I had this great setup on the one hand in Twitter, but then I was like, BABA looks like the best short for the market to come down. Like if the market's going to be weak, BABA looks really weak. So anyway, so that, I don't know. So I was kind of neutral. And then I thought, well, getting out of the Twitter long makes me net short. So that's good with me. So I don't know. Yeah, in hindsight, I should have shorted the crap out of this because, I mean, looking back on this, it's like, yeah, duh, this is just going to be killed the rest of the day. And so you can see this pattern did break in one direction. It broke to the downside, and it was big break, big resolution to the setup. So I wish I had shorted it, but I did try it long, unfortunately, and got out pretty much break even. I'll add profit loss on the day so you guys can see it there. $16. I got out at 50.85, so I'll add the trades back into 50.85. You can see there. So let's talk about BABA briefly before I end this one. So Alibaba, let's see. Oh, and then Facebook. Yeah, I can do without talking about that. That was kind of bleh, whatever. Alibaba, this was my choice. So again, I examined the market, pre-market, like I liked the short on the market. And I just thought, based off what I was seeing pre-market in my watch list, clicking around, I looked at the setup on Alibaba, and I thought, hey, this looks like the short opportunity. So this one I drew out these lines pre-market, another pennant shape, but this one looking a little bit more bearish. Again, price is coming into this pennant pattern from the high side into downside. That doesn't sound quite right, but price is coming, moving down into this pattern and building the pattern. So usually when you get price to come into a range from, it matters what direction it's coming from. So it's coming from high to low versus Twitter, it came up into that. So that looks more like a bullish pennant because price came up and then started creating the pattern, which looks like we're going to continue higher versus this looks like we're going to continue lower. And we did. So usually the pennant is a continuation pattern, not a reversal pattern is what I'm trying to say. And pre-market, we'd already broken out below the pattern. So I was like, okay, this looks really good because we've already broken down out of the pattern. So looks like, look out below basically. But this one as well gave a wick to the upside at first, which did kind of have me on my toes a little bit. I shorted this as it came down, and then wham, it rips my face off. But all this ended up being was a back test of the lower, now prior resistance, but previous or now resistance prior previous support of the pennant. So we're retesting that, and then I added to the short here as we tested that and backed back off, and the market came down. And even before the market was coming down, even while the market was ripping, BABA was just coming down. So I just took profit all the way, and this ended up being a very good trade, taking profit. And my last 50 shares, unfortunately, I didn't get out in a very good spot. I don't even know why I'm holding 50 shares in this trade at this point, because, I was doing other stuff. I was just like checking it on my phone because I was like, I only have 50 shares in the trade, when in reality I should have just gotten it out down here. This take profit, 25 shares, I got out 4 cents off the low, so not bad. But anyway, so those were my trade. Those were my trades. That was my trade. It was pretty much a singular trade on BABA. Facebook I shorted pretty lazily, and this was probably a mistake. I shorted it as it came down. I shorted it like at the low, and then it popped up. It was like ripping my face off, but the volume was so light, and the price action show kind of, I didn't trust it, and I still thought the market was going to come down, so I kind of bore with it. And then it just ended up coming down. And then here I set a trailing stop, which I don't normally do. I had a trailing stop on BABA and a trailing stop on Facebook on these shorts. Again, this was only 150 shares all said and done, so not really a big trade at all. But it did drop here from 225 down to 219 at the low there, so that was a pretty big move. But here I set a trailing stop of $1.25, so it hit this wick low and then stop me out right here. So $1.25 was not enough. If it had been $1.50, I would have stayed in this trade longer, and then gotten stopped out a little bit lower down here. But anyway, whatever. All right, so those were my trades yesterday and today. So a bit of a longer recap, but I do hope that you guys enjoyed it, and remember to like and subscribe to the channel. If you are new, I do these recaps every now and then, and I go live on Tuesdays. Sometimes I make money, sometimes I lose money, and you guys saw my trade review last Tuesday. Not good. So trying to claw back and hopefully finish April in the green. And I've got a few more weeks of April. April's pretty young still, so I feel good about flipping it and making it a green month. And then on tomorrow I'll try to close out the week green as well. So that's it from me, and have a good one, guys. All right, bye-bye.